What is going on? Welcome to Moody Talk Sports. We were here on Friday. Great Thursday night game last night between the 49ers and the Rams. When it comes to the gambling world, there's not a lot of layups anymore. Gambling has gotten, people get smarter. Vegas is really smart. There's just not really that many layups where I look at something and I go, oh yeah, that's money. That's free money. Some of you might be good enough at gambling to think that more than I do, but for me personally, there's not too many that I see that I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's free money. I might as well just pick it up off the ground. But last night was one of those. My three big bets last night were one, San Francisco plus 8.5. I couldn't believe I got 8.5 points in a tough divisional game. Two teams that always see each other, and with a head coach like Shanahan. That's just free money. You know what I mean? And I get it. They were injury riddled. I get that. But when you have elite coaching, which we'll talk about a little bit here in a second, and also when you have a divisional game that are always tough, always played. I mean, you got to remember, you build your team to play the division. Like that's something sometimes we forget. But these teams build their rosters to basically say, hey, we play, team A 2 times a year, team B 2 times a year, and team C 2 times a year. We need to beat them. And so it's always going to be close. It's very rare those games are in blowouts. Occasionally you do get a Falcons 35-0 loss, but those are rare. Those are one-offs. So 8.5, easy hit. I honestly wish I'd taken the money line. I mean, I wasn't that confident with it. Otherwise I would have. But can you imagine the payout on the money line? I'm sure it was pretty good. The other thing I took was the over, obviously. The over was set at 43.5, I believe. When you have two offensive-minded head coaches with, even though there's two great defenses there, over 43, come on. I mean, another easy hit there. And then my last bet was Christian McCaffrey over on the yards receiving out of the backfield. I think he finished with 8 catches for 80-something yards, which was another hit. Again, it's one of those things where you got Mac Jones, you got a lot of injuries on the front. I knew there was going to be a lot of just dumping the ball out of the backfield. McCaffrey's one of those guys you just want to get the ball in his hands, and he hasn't been rushing that good this year. So I knew catching it out of the backfield, he leads all running backs in receiving yards, and now that number is just even higher. I don't think anyone will touch him. I mean, there's a good chance C-Mac could end up with 12 to 1,500 receiving yards if he stays healthy, but that's a big if, let's be real. So those were easy bets. And what it comes down to is, you have to look at Shanahan as a legit top-tier coach. And I'm not a big 49ers guy. I'll be the first to admit. I grew up a St. Louis Rams fan, and then when they left, I left too, went to Tampa. However, when it comes to the 49ers, it doesn't take a genius to watch what's going on and just go, oh, yeah, that's coaching. They have all these injuries. It doesn't matter. That's coaching. You have Mac Jones who, let's be honest, the majority of the fan bases, especially if you're not a fan base of someone Mac Jones has been a team on, there's a stigma about him. Of course there is. We all make fun of him. There's the college photo of him kind of with the gut and hanging out. Like everyone makes fun of him, right? And then he comes out and he just throws over 300 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he looks like a legit quarterback. That's coaching. Now, that's taking nothing away from Mac Jones. Great job. But let's be real. That's coaching. If you take Mac Jones right now and put him right back on the Jets or something, he's not good anymore. That's not an offensive-minded team. Shanahan is able, on script, to get the ball where it needs to go. And, I mean, when the first quarter was 14-0 San Francisco. San Francisco really only finished the game with around 20 points because they got the field goal late, because it went to overtime, they got more. But there was a good chance they were only going to end up with 20 to 26 points in that range. They had 14 in the first quarter. That's on script. That's what Shanahan is coming up with as a play caller. He's designing those plays. He's letting Mac Jones know, hey, this is what we're practicing all week, and that's why it looks so good. That's coaching. The 49ers have an incredible defense. Robert Saleh, one of the best D coordinators in the game, and you've got him on your squad. So now you have an amazing offensive coach. You have an amazing defensive coach. It's coaching. That's what it is. And, he's able to keep them in a game that they were a 8.5-point underdog. They won it. Now, you can make the argument the Rams should have won it. There was some 2 fumbles, which Kyron Williams, I respect you as a running back, man, but I have to admit, it's a bad look when I see you high-stepping into the end zone and you're down 14 points. I see a high step in. I see the swagger, which is great, but listen, I'm old-fashioned. When it comes to swagger, when it comes to showboating, I'm all for it if you're winning. But when you're down 14 nothing and you fumbled the ball twice, I know one of those fumbles went to Matthew Stafford. That's bogus. Let's be real. That's completely bogus. Both fumbles last night were on Williams, 100%. You fumble the game away at the goal line. The fact that the Rams were even in it at all and it went to overtime was a God-given miracle. I just want to see a little less of that. I put you in my top 10 running backs. I saw that, but listen, after what I saw last night, I need to see a little more. That's not what I want to see. I don't want to see guys showboating down 37 nothing. Like it just what are you doing? I know, I'm a little old-fashioned. Maybe I have a stick up my butt, but that's how I feel. So San Francisco's a legit team. I think the Rams are still a legit team. They'll get better. They'll figure it out. But the 49ers right now are doing it with guys they got from the hot dog stand. And, I mean, just some of these stats. And in particular, when it comes to the 49ers, when we look at the receiving portion, Kendrick Bourne, 10 receptions, 142 yards, not a big play guy, but just consistent. I mean, there was a couple times last night Mac Jones threw to him when he was triple covered and just kind of fit the ball in there and he caught it. And sometimes as a possession receiver, that's all you need to do. Just catch the ball, man. First down, 1st and 10, do it again. Really impressive. There wasn't a ton of spreading the ball around. Jake Tongs, Christian McCaffrey, and Kendrick Bourne all got the brunt of it. If you go over to the Rams side, again, same kind of thing. Kyron Williams out of the backfield, 8 receptions. Puka Nacua, 10. Devontae was third with 5. Just kind of spreading it around. But, there's 3. I mean, there's main receivers that are go-to guys. And when you have those go-to guys, that's what you do is you just keep feeding it. Rushing-wise, average wise, San Francisco, this is what's truly incredible about San Francisco. If you told me that San Francisco won the game where they had all these injuries and they only averaged 2.2 yards a carry on the ground, I can't believe they won that. I'm really floored with it. That was one that they stole. They went on the road, beaten and battered, rushed for 2.2 yards a carry. And I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but Mac Jones delivered. And yes, the coaching, but delivered this team, got the ball out, did what he needed to do. There was some drops as well. They won. So kudos to San Francisco. They're a legit threat. If they get healthy, they're dangerous. They could go back to the Super Bowl again. I last night changed how I think about the 49ers. Like I said, the Rams will figure it out. They're good, but there's definitely the fumbles are an issue. You've got to. They didn't look quite as buttoned up. Maybe a short week. They've had some tough games, so I give them a little benefit of the doubt there, just a little bit. I've got my ears perked up. There's a yellow flag, not quite a red flag, but a yellow flag. So I'm watching. But right now, as far as San Francisco, it's all green.